got 25 minutes. We got to go.
Hey, everyone.
Happy Wednesday, guys.
It's the day before Halloween. I'm sure people are getting ready, getting all their candy ready.
Indeed.
Spoiler alert, I don't celebrate Halloween. Everybody else is doing that. Have a lot of fun. I'm sure it's going to be great. The weather's supposed to be lovely, at least in New York. I don't know. On the East Coast, it'll be nice. Well, welcome everybody. If this is your first time with us, we just want to say a huge welcome. Here at Say That Channel, we are all about the ugly come up of entrepreneurship. So you know how you hear those stories about people who start from nothing and then they have this massive success? But what happens in the middle? What happens during that ugly come up? Well, that is what we are here to talk about. We're going to go over all the different mindsets that you need to have. What are the potholes you need to circumvent? It's going to be amazing as we dig into it, because a lot of times we dig into it with guests who are here to help share their wisdom, their knowledge, their expertise with us. So it is a fun ride. I'm glad you are all here. I will mute that stuff in a moment. But what's today's topic, Winston?
Perfect. Thank you.
25 minutes to answer the topic question today. I totally forgot to mention this. So when we run out of time, what do? Oh, no. We go into overtime right there on Patreon. So become one of our Patreon members and you will get all of the really good juice, all of the really good nuggets from all of our guests are there. You'll see all of the recordings. It's amazing stuff. A lot of great content there. So become a Patreon member.
All right, let's jump into today's topic, guys.
Is your business strategy secretly sabotaging your success? I mean, what a great question. Winston and I have had so many conversations about strategy and
absolutely
constantly thinking like, man, do we need to like maybe tweak, right? I think these are things that can always be tweaked. But here's the reason why I say this is because we're not the best people to answer this question. We have a guest on today who's not only an amazing wife, a mother, she is an amazing business strategist that helps other people grow their businesses. Please, everybody, help us welcome to the stage, Wendi Hatton.
Our next guest.
Hey, there she is.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for
welcome in, Wendi.
Yeah. Well, we're excited to have you on the show. But for those people who are not familiar with you, please tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurship journey, how you got into this line of business.
Wow. Okay. So actually, I am a musician. I'm a clarinetist, professional clarinetist. I was in the Navy band, and after I retired, I knew that there was something else I needed to do. But so I just kind of started a studio of teaching clarinet lessons, which was the logical thing to do. But then I was thinking, wait a minute, that after a few years, I was thinking there's got to be something more. And that's when I discovered coaching. And so I started out as a health coach because that's what I was doing. I was in that space after retiring. Hey Jill. Hey, Jill. When you're in the military and you have all these restrictions and all these things, PT, like physical training and all this stuff and inspections and all of this, and in Washington, it's a really visual type of a platform. So you have to really be looking good. So it's a lot of pressure because you have all these like weigh-ins and all of this. It was lots of pressure. I mean, it was a good job because it was playing clarinet, which is what I do, and getting paid for it and going on tours and things. But there was that whole military piece of it that was really stressful. So then when I retired, I was so relieved that I didn't have to do all the restrictions and everything. I started my studio, but I just proceeded to eat anything I wanted to. And so I gained weight. And so this happened for like 7-8 years when I was teaching. I had kids. It was fun teaching the students how to play scales and all the different little things. But I just knew there was something bigger out there for me. And at the same time, that's when I discovered about coaching. And then I found a weight, like a fitness coach type of thing in a program, and she helped me get like fit and everything. And so I loved that so much that I wanted to start helping other people get to that same place. So that's how I started my coaching. This was back in 2012. And so I helped them with their health and fitness and all of that for a couple of years. But then I kind of transitioned over to business because I was meeting all these amazing coaches, and I had this podcast that was it was called Sky's the Limit Radio, and we interviewed coaches from all these different niches. And so, and through the years, I did it for like 5 years with two other coaches, and we had met so many amazing coaches, and they just had so much value that they, we interviewed them, and we felt like we're, like a coaching session each time. So after about like 3 or 4 years, I just got to be friends with a lot of them, and I just noticed they just started saying they wish they had clients. They didn't have clients. They got certified. They have all this knowledge and value that they can help other people with. They just couldn't find people to help. So I was thinking, these people are really amazing individuals. I'm going to go out and learn how to help them grow their business. And so I went out and got training and everything. I had grown my clarinet studio a certain, like pretty large. So I said, so I have that skill to be able to do. So with that and some formal training, I came back, and that's what I started doing, just helping people grow their business, because the world needs people who can do great things, and I can't do everything. So I'd love to help other people do what they do well, so they can help make the world a better place. And that's basically, yeah. So, oh, I do that. Yay!
No.
It is an Apple.
That's an Apple function. Desktop function.
Okay. So that's what I've been doing for the past 10 years. I've been helping entrepreneurs growing their business through different strategies and ways to become visible, and sales and marketing, and all that whole space. So that's where I am. And I still kept playing clarinet. I still perform clarinet in my area. So that's
well, so now everybody can tell that Wendi is definitely the person to answer today's topic question, right? Like she's going to be the one to give us the really great answer. So tell us, Wendi, is your business strategy secretly sabotaging your success? What have you seen out there?
I have seen that people want to, especially in the coaching industry, that people want to help everyone with everything. And so, which is kind of the way coaches are, because they want to help everyone with everything. But in a marketing aspect, it's kind of hard to be unique and zero in on a particular strategy or niche that they would like to do, so that people can actually see them and notice them, and be able to understand that they can actually solve their problem. So the biggest mistake is just saying, "Oh, I want to help everyone, all ages, any problem I can help," like that. So that was one of the first things I discovered, that's really important, to be able to figure out what your actual niche is, what's your specialty, and go from there. And then the marketing, you'll be able, it's much easier to do the marketing, because you're speaking about one specific problem that hundreds and thousands of people have. And so those people notice you, and they know that you're talking about them because you understand their problem. So then they reach out. So that's one of the biggest strategies to implement, is to make sure you know exactly the one problem that your people would like to solve, and that you can help them solve it. So that's basically, overall, that's one strategy that I have.
What have you seen? Okay, so one thing that you've identified that doesn't work is when your target audience is way too wide. What would you say is another part of somebody's strategy beyond who their perfect client is? What is another part of the strategy that you feel like could be strengthened, or like doesn't really work?
Well, if you want to partner with people and you want them to refer you, and if you're just saying you can do anything with for anyone, they're not going to really remember. If you have something specific that you can tell the person, then they can say, oh, they can think of actual people they can reach out to and say, you need to
Oh, okay.
connect with this person because she does this and you do that. So it's kind of very similar. If you're just vague and not really telling them specifically what it is, they're not going to think of anyone because you haven't really specified exactly what it is that that you can actually help people with. And it's also a hot button. A hot button are things that people are worried about. They can't sleep at night because they're worried about this one particular problem that they have. Those are the hot buttons that you want to be able to zero in on and help people with, and in your marketing to specify that's what you can help them get rid of or gain. Like if you let's say one example, let's say a dentist, he has a one thing that he could do is for people who do not have dental insurance, he can offer he can offer the same like copay prices for his services for people with no insurance. So that would be a real hot button for people who don't have dental insurance, thinking about, oh, how can I go get my teeth fixed? And so this dentist, it has to be like something that nobody else is doing. So no other dentist is offering that kind of payment for their services the same as if they did have insurance. So that's just one example of hot buttons. Another one is like daycare, like a daycare facility. Let's say that they say that your child will learn how to read at second grade level before they go to kindergarten. And they're going, so people who want their children to learn how to read and become ready for kindergarten, they're going to read that message and say, oh, I'm going to definitely look these people up for sure. So those are kind of two examples kind of things. People, just things that, they're problems that they have. And if your marketing can actually resolve it, and that from your messaging, that you can solve it, and they know that you can solve it too, then that's a win-win for sure.
Yeah.
May I ask, I would imagine that with your story, you talked about how you've essentially transitioned from, I don't want to say different industries, because it all feels like it's teaching at some, on some level. You're a teacher. But have you seen the inverse where someone's too narrow in what they're looking for? Obviously, if you're a dentist, you're looking for someone who's looking for your service. So I know you talked about playing the pricing games or maybe offering different things, but with someone who has a service beyond something as specific as the mouth, that can have a variety in who they're looking to help. Have you seen someone who's maybe gone too narrow? They're just too focused on one, and they're not open to the idea of having clients from an outside source or providing their needs to others?
Actually, not really. When they're starting out at the beginning, they do need to be pretty narrow just so that they can pinpoint specific people that can start with you. And then once you build your clientele, then you can sort of span, broaden,
add on other things. Okay.
Right. It's kind of a doorway into like the new people, new entrepreneurs. Then they can open up their horizons that way.
Okay, so then maybe that's my question. So then is it more that sometimes people grow or look to add too much too soon and haven't spent as much time in that area you're talking about?
Yeah, if you're really popular in the community or even online or something, you don't necessarily have to go narrow. It could, because people know you and they can refer people to you. But when you're brand new and just getting started out, you aren't known. So what you need to do is to be able to solve a problem that those people know that can tie to you. And so that they will say, oh, well, she knows how to fix this for me. So I'm going to see, even though that person's not well known yet. So I'm going to reach out to her because she can fix this problem. Because that's the main issue. Just whatever their problem is, they just want it solved. Whether you're well known, or if you're not well known but you're good at it, they'll want to reach out to you. So
Okay.
then they'll eventually, they'll get more and more people, and so then they can broaden out
And support the business. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had several conversations with people about just what you said. Like, you start off with a small group of people and like really help them really well, and then it starts to grow. I wonder, is there when you're sitting down with an entrepreneur just from the very beginning, they're like, all right, Wendi, I really need your help. I want to do this right. I don't want to like try something and then it doesn't work. Like, I really want to make a strategy that works well. What are like the top 3 things that you tell them that they should focus on in terms of strategy?
Well, so the one thing is, if they just started out, just to make sure that they know, their expenses, what their expenses are going to be, because that's going to be a really big thing for them. If they're spending so much, and then just their profit won't be nearly as much, especially if they're new, then they won't be able to get to that level of profit that they would hope to have if they're spending all this these expenses
Capital.
they may not need. So the first thing is that they go through all of their bank statements and see, even personal, and just see what subscriptions or what things that they've signed up for that they're not using anymore, they're not doing, so that they can immediately have that space for more profit increase. And then that's one of the things that I help them with. And we just kind of go through like a couple of months, 2 to 3 months worth of their subscriptions or expenditures that they're doing there, because there are things that they don't even notice. They said, oh gosh, wow, I need to cancel this and cancel it. So that's one of the first things that we go through, because it's really easy, because it's an immediate improvement of your profit margin that will immediately grow for that. And then let's say that after a couple of weeks or so, they start getting some clients. And then one thing that they could do a little bit later, once they have had them for a few weeks or a couple of months, they can just very slightly raise their prices. And they go, I don't know if I want to raise my price. And I said, but it's only like 5%. It's not even noticeable. Like, have you heard of you've heard of the 80-20 rule, right?
Yes.
With business, like 80% of your income is created by 20% of your activities. So one of them is, this particular one is raising your prices. But you would think people wouldn't want to keep being your client if you're going to raise it. But if you just do it like 3 to 5%, which is hardly any, just like a few dollars, it really compounds from what you're doing. So if you are getting rid of your expenses, and then that you don't really need, plus you're adding just a tiny little bit to your prices, then that's going to compound, and it's going to make a really huge difference, even though it's not really that much that they're doing. So they're thinking, oh no, I'm going to lose my clients. And excuse me. And they said, oh, no, you're not going to lose your clients. It's just like a couple of dollars more. So, so it's really, the people that would leave, they're probably the wrong people anyway for you.
Right.
So,
Right.
Actually, I'm so happy you brought up this idea. Were you going to say something?
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, okay, cool. Just the idea of pricing, because this is a conversation Janelle and I have had, even about another company we have, and in terms of how or when you made that decision. Is it in terms of timing, how do you advise, or how would you advise a client to, hey, it is time to take that step?
You mean to raise prices?
Yeah. I know you mentioned just a small margin of increase. So is it a timing and the margin? So, hey, let's just only go up by a few dollars, or is it more the timing that plays a role in that? You guys have had this many customers, or however, how do you look at that decision?
So, yes, if they're not new, if they've been in for a while, if they've been in business for a while, and it's been a couple of years, like one of the questions is when was the last time that you raised your prices? And then they go, I don't think I ever have, or think something like that. And so we know that through the years, it makes
Mhm.
sense to do that because things get a little bit more and more expensive each year. So you might as well align that with your pricing, just and make it so minute that it's not really that noticeable at all, but it makes a huge impact on your bottom line because all the different people, like $2 extra times however many clients you might have, like 10 clients, that's more than you would think. That if somebody did $5 or $10 more, that would make a difference. That people would say that's a little too much, but like $2.
Mhm.
So that would be the first question to ask them. When was the last time you raised your prices? And then we would just go from there. And if they said, "Oh, last month," I said, "Okay, so we'll wait on that one. We'll just go to this next strategy." So it just depends on where they are in their business. If they're brand new, they would need to figure out how to just start out with their pricing. And a
Okay.
lot of times the new entrepreneur thinks they don't have the experience, so shouldn't be charging so much. But the
Yes.
value that they have, that they don't understand or realize, that the people know are realizing that they have a lot of value because they're going to help that person um, take care of whatever problem it is that they have. So they're actually paying for the result more than the actual person. So if the person can actually get rid of that problem that they have, then they're going to pay higher prices. That's for sure.
Okay. And obviously you can go too high and price yourself out of the marketplace, right? Whether
Well,
you're making a big jump or you're starting out, you could be above what others or the average or something to that effect.
well, a lot of times if you're more like just with us in general, if we look at two different items and one is more expensive, I know for me, if one's more expensive than the other one, I'm thinking this one must be worth a lot, must be a lot better. So I'm going to get the more expensive one. I mean, I do that a lot, a lot.
You're not alone. You're not alone in that.
Well,
Yes.
no. So since there is that psychological component, and that's why I'm asking the pricing questions, because it does, in my mind, I often wonder, can you ask too much for what you're can you ask too much for your service?
I
And
think
is it delusional to go ahead?
It's a mindset thing for
I'm
sure.
obviously not saying like, oh, I want $1 million, and then the other closest thing to you is 5,000. But I am asking, can someone step into their entrepreneurial journey? And to your point, hey, I feel good about what I'm about to teach. I am versed in it. I may not have a lot of experience with my business currently, but I do feel I'm not the average in this. So I want to be closer to the top from the start than waiting, let's say 3, 4, 5 years to have that experience within the entrepreneurial side of things.
Mhm.
Whether you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can you go too high too fast? Is really, I guess, my question.
Maybe, let's see, it's possible, but it's all about if you feel like that's too high for you. Like what you could do
Ah,
is think of something in the mid range,
yeah.
and just see what the result. Because I'm just thinking about when I have these new students come in. Back in the beginning, I was so scared to tell them how much that I was going to charge them. It was very, very low. So, but then as I kept creeping up, like every year I would keep going up and up. And when they didn't flinch or didn't say anything, I was like, really? I could have charged this before. And so it's like, oh wow. So that just makes me realize that the people who you're going to be working with are actually paying for what the service, like what it is that they are going to improve on. So they'll pay higher. They'll pay higher prices for that because they want that, and it's valuable. It's that valuable to them that they will pay that amount. And if you feel comfortable, because I think it's like mindset, and then if they feel that you have that particular, if they can have that kind of value from
Mhm.
you, then that works out. It's like those two sides of it. Your mindset feels, you feel like you are worth that amount. That person's going to feel, if they want that problem, if it's a really terrible problem if they have, and they know you can solve it, they will definitely pay. They'll probably pay more than you think that you should
Perfect.
charge
To
them.
be able to get for that. The reason why I'm asking or maybe staying on this is at one point as a personal trainer, I remember having where I worked, they charged people a certain price point for training. And I just remember the mindset I had where I thought I would never pay this for this service. So I was projecting that onto people who, when they came to meet with me to discuss whether or not they wanted to actually take part in the training, I could almost how was that time already? That's long. Okay. That's way too fast. Okay, but let me get this out, and because I do the question I want to ask in terms of how you help people, it was really a self-value. I didn't have as much self value in myself or my skill set at the time, and I was wondering what are some of the strategies you have that you implement with clients that help them start to see themselves. Because for me, it was because the company was determining that price. It made it easy for me to not have to worry about it. But I recognized that once I left that company, I was what was making that price worth what it was. I was the value, not the place I was. And so it was easier once I'd built that up in myself to take that into my own personal business and charge people and feel more confident. But I was wondering, what are some of your strategies for helping someone with that mindset shift? But we don't get to discuss that here. We get to take that into overtime.
Guys, if you found today's conversation valuable, please put it in the chat. Let Wendi know that you found all of this helpful. I know Winston and I were soaking all of this up.
Absolutely.
Really helpful for us. You can email Wendi here. You can find her on LinkedIn, Wendi Hatton. That is her website, linkedprosperity.com. All of this is in the description box below, so please go ahead and find her. She is a real person. She will respond. There's a lot of, it's coming in the comments. A lot of
thank you.
They found value. This is amazing. So if you want to hear Wendi's strategy for how you can help see the value in yourself, the question that Winston was talking about, please become a Patreon member right now. We're going to pop on over on Patreon and dig in a little bit deeper over there.
Say that. And shout outs to Twitch. This is our first time streaming live on Twitch. So thank you guys for having us there. But for the rest of you guys, we'll see you guys in overtime. And until next time, as always, remember, you deserve the good life. Say that. We'll see you guys soon. Peace.